This was me and my kids years ago. And I wouldn't be standing here today if I didn't fight then and leave. It's all just innocent and just nothing until it happens to you. My daughter did the right thing. She told the truth. She stood up for herself. And I'm standing here today to make sure her voice and every other kid's voice is heard. Savannah, I want you to know, and the school to know, you did nothing wrong. Nothing. You told the truth. You did the right thing. And I will never let your voice be silenced like mine has for years. Never stop defending yourself. That's it. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Yes, we have a report tonight from Angela Anderson, Director of Student Services, and she's gonna talk about that laptop up.
Packed up, so I know it knows it's here, but it did this earlier. So I just started sometimes to get it. So at John's request, I did a report for you guys. You would see that in your board book stuff. And then I just threw together a quick PowerPoint for you. If you can get it out in the Google Slides, otherwise I'll share it with you later. Basically explaining what our ECE program is and how we're doing. This year we have 59 kids. We have 40 in the afternoon, 15 in the morning. Part of that, I have to say, is my fault as the new director because I was trying to keep numbers at a place where we had 18 or less in each class. And we ended up having a lot less 3-year-olds and a lot more 4-year-olds. So the afternoons are heavy right now and the mornings are lighter. We purposely leave those 3-year-old rooms a little lighter in the morning because we do get EI kids, early intervention kids throughout the year that we would have to place if they have special education services. Currently, we have 6 kids that are at risk. We have 40% of our kids have some sort of service. So some of them are speech only, others are developmental delay. We have a couple kids who have autism, and we have one that's medically impaired. So it's a multiple disabilities. So we have 3 teachers that are full-time, running 3 different classrooms that are morning and afternoon. Mornings are from 9 to 11:30. Afternoon is from 12:30 to 3. We bus every kid in Prairie Grove that qualifies because they live close enough or far enough, in the middle. We don't just do special ed like a lot of other districts. There is a high cost to our ECE program, and you would see the numbers in your report and the slide deck. The cost is over $400,000 a year. $86,000 of that we collect back in tuition. Any child who has an IEP does not have a cost to come to our ECE program as is legally required. It needs to be a free and appropriate public education by law. Our kids who have at risk, like they're on SNAP, WIC, things like that, we do have a list of things that make us say they don't pay either. Every child, regardless of IEP or at risk, does pay the $25 fee. And then we do provide a snack, which is required also have kids in the program for $2.5 a year. So we do provide that snack. All of our teachers have early childhood certification. 2 out of 3 have EL certification, which is appropriate in our program. I compared our ECE program to other programs in our area. Fox River Grove was the closest to what we're doing. Prairie was also pretty close. The bigger districts tend to have preschool for all. When you have preschool for all, because you have the right amount of at-risk kids so that you can provide preschool for all, it is grant funded. So some of the bigger districts like District 347 and Wakanda and McHenry do have preschool for all. So when they have preschool for all, it limits the ability for a non-at-risk kid to attend your program because 80% of the kids in your program have to be at risk, which is why Prairie Grove, we probably couldn't do it. Only 6 of the kids out of 59 are at risk in our program. So it would limit our ability to serve the kids who are not at risk in our program.
So I've got one side up.
Okay. That's fine. I don't really mind. All right. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I worked with Matt today to make sure that it was presentable.
It worked.
And it worked. So that's awful. Okay. Oh, and here we had 5 paras. I didn't talk about that. Are you kidding? No worries.
Okay, you're doing great. Keep talking.
It's fine. I did, when you get the slide deck, I did do screenings in a chart to see. You can see that during COVID, there were a lot of screenings because we had a lot of kids that really, we had concerns about their development because their development was changed in the fact that they were at home rather than with their peers. So we saw that tick up. We've been ticking down for a few years. It looks on the chart like the screenings are super low because we only had 4 screenings so far this year, but that's not atypical at this time in the year to only be at 4. Typically in Prairie Grove, we get more like 20 to 30 screenings per year. Not all of them qualify, and not all of those kids will come to ECE at Prairie Grove because it's optional to parents. But if they have EI services, we are required when they turn 3 to be giving them services if they qualify for 90. So we work really closely with them for Child Find. The number of students served, again, this year's a little lower so far, but we have 4 kids that we've just finished screening who will be attending, except for 1 whose mom wants itinerant services. So we do have kids coming in consistently to that 3-year-old program, so that number will go up from 59. There is a comparison snapshot for you guys of public and private. We are very consistent, except private can be more expensive. They can be up to $405 a month. We're at $230 a month. So we're pretty consistent. The one change that people asked for as far as our early childhood program, when I did the SWOT analysis last year for that program, was we'd love to have a 5-day program. Right now, our Mondays are days that our teachers use for screening our preschoolers coming in. It's also the day they use to plan for the week and get everything set up for how they're going to manage their week. And they admit that's a luxury. It's amazing that they get to do that. But when parents say the reason I'm not coming to ECE in Prairie Grove, typically it's work. I can't make it work unless it's consistent that my kid's going to be someplace every day of the week so I can go to work. So not having that Monday ECE is a challenge for some parents. So my goal is to have that program turn into a 5-day program so that we can accommodate those parents and maybe lift our numbers up. My goal would be to get us over 80, not where we're at right now at 59. If we had 80, we would still have smaller self-contained classrooms as needed, but we could go up to 18 in each class. We have a teacher and 2 parents in each room. Okay, any questions for me?
First, thank you. It was really, really great information and obviously a fantastic program, service model for our kids. A couple of questions. So John, at the beginning of the year, you were advising the board a grant that might go away for preschool. Is it this idea preschool grant for about $7,000? Or was it a
That's-
different?
Yep, that would be part of the money.
Okay. Is there other money?
We have a lot of IDEA funds that have been targeting preschool, with the Department of Education potentially going away. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility that all that funding can dry up. Because we're definitely not a preschool for all program. I don't think we're gonna qualify for that. Is that?
We wouldn't be up to 80% at risk.
So is, because it's not listed on here, so I'm just a little confused, so I apologize. So it says here that there's $7,000 for the preschool out of IDEA.
Yeah.
Are we saying that there's more funds than that go to the preschool that aren't listed here?
We have line items that the district pays for.
Yes,
But
grant
That's
money.
the only grant money
Oh,
we
That's all
have
you're,
right now.
that's all you're using this year.
That's
Okay.
all we have.
Okay, it just seemed, it seemed
Small.
great, like a great concern at the time. So like $7,000 is tax money and very important, but in the scheme of a large budget, it's not that much. So there's 6 at-risk students who are at risk.
Right.
Is there another number of students who receive special education services, or are you counting? Yes, okay,
It's 40%. I have to look at the actual number. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Let me grab that. So we have 24 IEPs.
Okay, so
That's speech only too. So speech only, some of them pay tuition. If they're just getting articulation services that could be provided itinerantly and they don't have to come to school here to get those services, they pay tuition.
So that makes more sense with the 2/3 time psychologist.
Yeah.
Like there's about
That's for
30
evaluations.
students. Yeah. Okay. Is there another speech pathologist in the elementary building, or
Yes.
there's another whole one?
Right.
And then
We actually have 4 speech paths.
okay.
3.5 is what the number is really hourly. 3 full-time positions and 1 part-time. They split the caseload. So Christy Klein is our ECE para or speech path, and then Stephanie Devine does kindergarten through 2nd grade, and then we have Kayla Thomas who does the 3rd, 4th, and some of the 5th, and then Lori Alsop does 6, 7, and 8.
Okay, and just 2 other questions. So it's about a $350,000 investment, and we know early education is super important, but it's still, over $250,000 investment. 2 questions. One, so I understand we need to provide busing for students who have IEP services, potentially at risk. Are we required to provide busing for tuition base, or could we charge for it?
I suppose we could charge for it. It would make us different than other districts.
Okay,
And the fact that they either don't provide transportation for their non-IEP kids or they are grant funded.
right.
We
And-
are generous in the
Yeah.
fact that we provide busing for everybody. I think it was a matter of we're running the buses anyway.
Do they ride the same buses as
They
the
do.
elementary kids? Okay.
Well, no, it's a different route because of the hours. Same drivers, same buses that other people use. But there's 2 routes in the morning, 3 in the midday, and 2 in the afternoon that are ECE students.
Okay. And I'm not suggesting it, but could potentially be a way to close the gap on the $350,000. Could be charging for busing, potentially. And then 2 years ago, there were about 20 more students. Has the staffing reduced since there's about a quarter of the less students, or has it stayed the same?
It is staying the same.
It has stayed the same. And any particular reason?
We find that the ratio of 1 to 6 kids is typically a nice ratio to have. Yes, it is a luxury. We are so grateful for that. One of the things I would caution if we did consider minimizing our para staff, because there are districts who just have 1 teacher of para, is our sub shortage takes our paras from EC often. To the point of it being frustrating. Because we do know legally we aren't required to have that many. And unfortunately, when teacher jobs are open and we don't have a sub for them, we do have bachelor level parents that can pull. So I wish we could say, oh yeah, we don't really need this, but it's amazing for our kids when they're there. They're often.
No, I appreciate it. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Anybody else? You good?
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Very informative.
I'm gonna add a follow-up to my response for the budget. So the other part of the IDE grants going to flow through, and it's $210,000 change. While it's not fully dedicated to early childhood, there are components of it where money is utilized in early childhood. For example, physical therapy, occupational therapy. Those people are funded out of that program, and they split between early childhood and other parts of the community. So it's not just that one particular.
Could you, that's great information. Could you follow up with letting us know? The reason is because that could bring the total cost of the program down. Can you get us those numbers and then what actually this particular service model costs?
Yeah, we'll work on
The other thing is PD. When the ECE pairs or teachers go to conferences and things like that for PD, it's paid for out of the idea flow through.
We are blessed tonight to have additional presenters. Right? October is the month every year in which we receive our annual audit. Kevin Smith is here tonight representing our auditor firm. He has a fantastic report from the board regarding our district finances.
Yeah, so it's what everyone always wants to hear. So, but I'll keep it short. So each year we just come out to give you guys a quick overview of how everything went. Any new standard changes, anything like that. So overall, feel we're going well. Always goes well here. We don't have any significant issues. So no management letter. Each year during the audit, we go through your guys' internal control processes, obviously look at the numbers, things like that, tie it out. No issues there. There's journal entries made each year, but they're mainly just reclasses that have to be made each year just to fit in with the school district and market. So nothing out of the ordinary there. The opinion, you guys got the cleanest opinion you can get on the cash basis. It's qualified because it's not GAAP. You got to be accrual in order to get that, but it's a clean opinion on the modified cash basis of accounting, so no issues there. That's the best opinion you can get on the cash basis. As far as your standards this year, so nothing that affected you guys this year. There was a new standard for compensated absences, it has to do with sick time, things like that, how that accrues. You guys are accrual, so it didn't affect you. So no new standards this year. So as far as the report, it was fairly similar to the prior years, updated for the current year numbers. For some of the actual highlights then, as far as the numbers then, so your guys' fund balance on page 10 of the report, you guys were down a little over 11 million for this year. That was planned, that's capital projects. If you guys remember last year, your guys' capital fund was significantly higher because of the bond issue. So basically that got spent out this year. So that was planned. General fund, usually you look at it as far as how many months you guys have on current year expenses. General fund was about 5 months current year expenses, which is pretty consistent with prior years. You guys have kind of hovered around that range, 5 to 6 months in the last year, so that's pretty normal. O&M's at about 12 months. Debt service is basically zero, but that's basically there for a purpose. You guys transfer funds in order to pay that debt service in there. That doesn't fill up its own fund balance. Transportation is just under a year. IMRF is at about 6 months. Capital, we usually don't look at that way because, as I just mentioned, you guys usually build that up for a specific purpose. You spend it, obviously, expenditures were super high this year. What's the fund balance now really doesn't relate to what you guys spent this year. Same thing with fire prevention and safety. Same concept, is similar to a capital fund. You guys set aside those funds and build up for specific purposes and specific plans. You guys spend those accordingly. Government-wide then, so this is where you get to your long-term assets on the modified cash basis. You bring in things like your debt, fixed assets, things like that. They're no longer expenditures, they go on the books. You depreciate fixed assets, you pay out the debt, that kind of thing there. So for page 7 of the report there, you get a decrease of about 2.1 million. The difference between the number we discussed earlier is really mainly due to the cap outlay you guys had for the capital expenses. So again, those are no longer expenses. We need to government wide, you're depreciating that over time. So that, I would say it was about $10 million, a little under that you spent this year. That all went into a fixed asset that's going to get depreciated over time. Your depreciation is significantly lower than that for this year, so that's the main difference between those two numbers. And then another factor into that too is the debt payments. So when you guys make the debt payments, it's an expenditure on funds. When you get to the long-term assets, it's redoing the long-term government line statements, it's reducing the debt. So it's no longer an expenditure. And then as far as the footnotes, you mentioned no new standards. So footnotes are going to be the same as they have been in the past years, just updated with current year numbers. So you won't see any changes there, no new standards, so no footnote that describes that. Otherwise, everything else should be fairly similar. So other than that, those are the main things I go over each year. So unless you guys have any specific questions, comments, anything.
I have no questions. Great. Thank you so much.
Sure, awesome. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
My laptop, yes, we're next. So several of the board members are new this year. You've not yet met George and Kyle from White & Company. Those who've been on the board for a while know we've done in the last 5 years local projects with White & Company as the architects for the expansion of the 5th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade wings. The final project that we had planned, or a project that we had planned for last summer was the renovation of the parking lot at 66. We had some delays there with the IDOT permit. So I asked George and Kyle to come tonight to speak to the board, kind of give you an update, introduce themselves to our new board members so they could have a chance to look at you and talk to you, and tell you what we have planned to go out to bid for the final phase of 2C for this next upcoming spring and summer. So,
Thank you, John. Good to be with everybody. It's a pleasure to meet the new board members as well. I'm George Gauthier, Architectural Project Manager.
Kyle Luck, Civil Engineering.
So what we're going to do is just a very brief overview. We designed last fall, I think it was, around last year, we designed a parking lot improvement for the parking the main lot along 176. In addition to that, we designed in a fence that was essentially separating the playground from the new drive. It was centered on this sort of central walkway here. So it's sort of engaging with this new sort of circle turnaround. The basic, and this very limited presentation will give you the basics on it. It is masonry piers that fit in with the recent additions, brickwork, and some of the piers closer to the central walkway will have some integral lighting in them to sort of punctuate the entrance to the new part of the building and give this this new circle drive a little bit of a presence, sort of a point of entry. In addition to that, so if you want to go ahead and go to the next one, we'll give you a little bit more detail on what we would do. So we got into some of the details as far as matching some of the brickwork on the new, where you have the way we're stacking the bricks, the height of them. We didn't want them to be too tall and fortress-like, so we tried to keep that at a scale where it didn't seem so large for the students. In addition, in between, we had about approximately 16 feet of fence, of metal fence. So basically, we would have a single central sort of post that would basically just make up the support for this fence, which is still transparent. It doesn't have any screening on it, but yeah, gives you a little bit of show strength. Just a little bit more detail on what we were designing. We got the cap on it so that it will protect it from water damage, and we have a raised foundation on it so it can be properly constructed where it wouldn't move. You may have seen somewhere along the way, sometimes people build fences and they put piers in and they don't do it even a foundation systems, things like that. And we engineered this so to avoid those kind of things. So if you want to go to the next slide, this is just a little bit more about the fencing and the details, and this is out of basically we took that and brought it into our engineering drawings. And the next slide, the final slide, is just an example of some integral lighting where it just fits in to the brickwork, so it fits into the whole. It's almost like 2 bricks high by 1 or 2 bricks wide, kind of thing. So that's the basic idea of the fence and piers. Go to the next, we want to just give you a quick overview of this parking lot. It's a bit of a reconfiguration.
So along with the fence, a lot of the work that you're gonna see over the summertime is gonna be in the front yard. Basically full removal of the existing parking lot and the replacement. Configuration, circulation, parking patterns are all roughly the same. We're just gonna get everything down to the good soils beneath, build the parking lot back up with a heavier section and a heavier section to handle the traffic flow and the volume that you're gonna have along here. So along with that too, one of the key points that also is along the front of the school right now, the walkway is flush with the pavement, meaning they're at the same elevation. And what we're going to be doing is dropping the new pavement down, so you'll have at least a 6 or 4 inch curve. Walk will be higher, pavement will be lower to act as a bumper and a little bit of a barrier for vehicles that utilize that interior traffic. Parking numbers, we're actually increasing the parking by, I believe, about 20 parking spaces in this area right here. That doesn't account the new parking lot over to the east. So overall, I think the existing was about 180 parking, and now with both parking lots, the number of parking spaces have increased to 280 parking spaces for the units. That's it. One less driveway. So currently, thank you, George. There are 3 access points off of Illinois Route 176. In court, that was going to be your full entrance over here to the west that allows an in and out. In the middle was only a right turn out, and then over at the east end was another full access for an in and out. In coordination with IDOT at Illinois Route 176, they only provided us with, or only wanted us to have 1 full access, which we kept on the west for an in and out. The middle access was going away. IDOT usually doesn't allow 3 access points or even 2 access points for 1 parcel. They usually want 1. In this case, we coordinated with them on the vast frontage that we had along Route 176, and then they granted the east access to be a right in, right out access. So the middle access is going away. The reason for the middle access, why there's a little bit of a large bump out right there, is because we still need to be able to have your semi-truck circulation through the school. The larger trailers with the 53-foot wide cargo in the back area. So that still has to enter in from the west, come down, get to the front of the school, and then make that 90-degree turn over up there at this corner, and then come on out the right in, right out. So that's why there's an asphalt area bump out, so that that front end can kind of swing around and keep the back end off of the sidewalk and away from the school. All of this we did via vehicular turning model through AutoCAD. The other one, and we had to show IDOT too that we can still circle, maneuver through, and also prevent the school district's purposes. The other one, vehicle that will be utilized along here is, in case it ever happens, the fire truck too. So we have coordinated with Nundle Rural Fire Protection District and show them also that the fire truck can easily maneuver through, enter in the site, and enter out the site. As I
So,
stated,
Kyle, just to add to that, so I believe part of the conversation with IDOT, as you click on this, you can see the words easement. IDOT required a larger easement. If you're going to make a modification to the access points, they wanted a larger easement. That also played into the role of losing some parking spots here along 176 and how it's sort of configured there with a little bump out.
One of the key components though too for the new parking lot, that if you want to go to the other side, is we're actually increasing the number of landscape islands that you have. So we're actually reducing hard surface and giving back green space too, bringing back trees, I believe. Potentially maybe around 10 trees that are existing, and there'll be 20 trees at the end of the project. Another key factor on this one though too is down at the south end, when you come around here, at this location right here, door number is that? 8, just north of door 8, we're putting in collapsible security bollards, so there would be no more vehicular or non-authorized vehicles coming down to this area where we know that most of the students have a hard surface playground area. We do need them to be collapsible in case the fire department does need to get to here. They can easily be brought back down and then the vehicle will just go right over them. New receptacle enclosure right here, so they're not out back here open. They'll be screened in with masonry enclosure and gates. And that's the
So this portion of the project was out for bid last year. We were late getting that bid out, didn't get any bids for the electrical work in the parking lot, so we shelved it all for a year. To come back with a different time frame, which is why we're here tonight, ready to put it out on the bids next month. I believe November is our target.
yes,
With
correct.
due back in January.
They should be
timeframe?
due back in hopefully
December,
December.
January.
Yeah, usually the bidding period is 2 to 3 weeks. You allow the contractors to give us numbers. Yeah. 2 to 3. But we'll coordinate that with ICI. But we want to go out, we want to go out earlier so that hopefully we get better numbers and pricing for people that are eager to work in the summertime district.
And Dashby, just a point of clarification, this was, we went out to bid late last year because of the issues receiving confirmation back from IDOT on the 176.
We weren't willing to go out for bid on a project that we didn't have a firm permit for and then not be able to do the project.
Right, and the funding for this was tied to the last.
Correct. We have the funding for this project on the books currently. It's in the capital development fund.
What is the cost of this project?
Well, we have an estimated at
Estimate,
1.7 million.
Right.
That's our estimate. I mean, until it goes after there, we don't know that number.
And so help me understand what the board has approved so far and what we still have to approve.
Well, every time you have, the board approved the plan that White and Company created, she's going back on 7 years ago now, but only agreed to do the projects through this phase, at this point in time. Even though they approved to send out the bid, they still have the opportunity to reject bids or accept bids to do the project or not. It's still-
So the board has approved, giving you the bids for the project,
Yeah,
the planning.
previously, yes.
Do you recall how much money's been invested in the planning, the drawing and all of that thus far?
I do have that number. I have to pull that up and find out. But we have invested money in the drawing so far. We invested it last year. We have some modified numbers for the tweaks we made this time. I have been some tweaks to it.
Minor.
I don't have the number off the top of my head. We do know the number, yes.
And then why is this important? Like, what's wrong with what we currently have?
So the current parking lot, one, when it snows, it ices, it rains, water ponds in the parking lot, and the way it's currently sloped, it actually runs toward the school building instead of away from the building toward the detention area. If you'll notice out there, we have a lot of broken pieces of asphalt. It does heave on us a lot, especially in the winter time. It makes it dangerous for we put buses through there, just bouncing all over the place and getting down. The access points on 176, the hook is broken, so the water can't flow along the sidewalk. It just flows and goes back over.
And
So
so
we're
it's
trying
the
to correct
only
all those
way
things.
to fix that, a whole new parking.
The only way to touch the culverts is to get permission from IDOT and the corrections. So that's, while we were doing that, we were going to fix the parking lot, how it's pitched, how it's shaped so that it can drain better. So it lasts longer.
The current parking lot has very minimal drainage structures and catch basins. The new parking lot, without being mentioned, we are updating all the storm sewers and storage structures and the grading, pitching it away from the building, getting into the structures. so that any water collected can then flow along the north side and empty into the stormwater detention basin that was constructed finalized last year. To Dr. Bute's point though too, we did do pavement cores in the parking lot, just drilling down, let's see what it reveals. On average, your asphalt is about 4.5 inches, which is pretty good and sufficient. What's not is the aggregate that's underneath is only 6 inches. Today's standards, you need to be, you want it to be about 10 inches. So you have a very thin section, which Dr. Bute is experiencing, or you might be experiencing searing with the heaving because it's so thin.
And if I recall, the curb, the lack of curb is a safety issue for students as well. And there is no bumper as you
On the
described
sidewalk.
Correct.
coming up against the building.
So we're able, along with that, we're deepening the section to handle the traffic load, to create that separation from the sidewalk and to help the drainage improvements.
And you don't feel there's a there's a necessity for ballards over on the other side where the buses come in, by the playground?
Oh,
We have an 18-foot wide open. You're talking about where the walkway is.
over
Or
here,
where
like
the
where
fence is
right
going,
here,
yeah.
over here.
There was some talk about using a ballard to minimize that. I think we went away from that. I think we went away from that, and there could be something else, perhaps a little planner or something else that could be used there. It didn't feel like using permanent right at points. I think that was the discussion last year.
Even though there's a big amount of stretch between Valley View and that entranceway, it is gated on out. There are yellow gate swings right there. That's only going to be utilized for buses, closed on and off. Sometimes what we've seen with those type of bollards though too is with when you're trying to funnel that many kids in or on out through, potentially having a bollard there might be a walking obstruction though too. So to George's point, maybe a wider removable planter if you ever needed something that's wider, maybe a little bit more high, and not that's so skinny. We can look into it and see. It might be better suitable. Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit, and maybe this is outside of the scope of questions, but on how IDOT plans to improve the flow of traffic in addition to our changes? Because is there plans for turn lanes? Is there plans for, I mean, I would assume this is not just a Prairie Grove isolated project, that IDOT is gonna be making some improvements to.
I can't speak for IDOT.
Did they give you any foresight as to, I mean, I'm only asking because there's issues at 176 chronically with
Yeah.
traffic flow.
And you're correct, when IDOT takes a look at something, it's not an isolated lot section. They'll take a look at the full corridor between the major intersection to another major intersection. I believe there has been some very conceptual studies of this area. I don't know when those will come into fruition or what IDOT's 5-year plan out. I don't believe there's been any further study other than maybe just a little concept drawing of what that may entail, 76 may entail. It all depends on how IDOT's funding, where.
I just remember when we did this side.
I cannot get into IDOT's mind.
No, I mean, when you guys are working together, so there should be some communication, because when we did this side, there was a lot of questions that we had as a board about turn lanes and safety. And, right, and there have been some issues because coming up from Prairie Grove side, crossing 176 Valley View to the school, traffic gets backed up. And it's getting backed up right to the light. So these are genuine concerns that I think, the community just is, I'm sure, asking.
There were required traffic studies done at that
Yes.
intersection and others that played into their determinations as to what was needed and not needed.
It was determined that they did not see the need, right?
So kind of playing off that, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, no, you're good. Thank you.
If IDOT decides to expand 176 to include turn lanes that are designated for us, how will that impact the current architecture of our parking lot? Are we, I would assume there's minimal real estate, so are we gonna be losing some real estate?
You would be losing, if IDOT does that, then they would ask for some frontage to be dedicated to them so that they have the ownership of that full roadway. But we kind of looked and coordinated with IDOT, factored that in. No parking would be lost.
Okay,
Entrances would be modified because the roadway would come a little bit closer, but internal circulation and parking and even the stormwater detention area wouldn't be affected.
oh, that's great.
And Kyle, I do believe that includes both sides of the highway, so the property owners on the other side would
Right.
also lose
Right.
their
Right.
areas to make
They
that
wouldn't,
expansion.
in this area, once again, can't get it out of that's mine, but all expansion would not be on your side, it would be a shared north and south.
And do you have any indication with, I know you're putting in some medians for green spaces, which I appreciate, but parking is consistently an issue here. Do you know how many parking spaces we are losing by incorporating that into the design versus just going straight up parking?
Those are zoning requirements.
Correct.
Those are, so we're complying with zoning requirements to have those items.
Okay.
We're not
Yep.
using any.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple more. So, is this
You're good.
in our, this is not for you, I don't think. And, oh, there's one for you. Is this the only possible way to fix this solution, this problem?
Are you talking about the configuration or internal configuration?
No, like
The
the,
condition of the lot, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how else you fix that problem that has not enough subbase on it, you know, without actually pulling out.
and
what's there.
what's the
Especially because
concern
it's
with
also
the
disturbing.
subbase? Like, what does that long term?
It's not deep enough, so when you redo this, it's going to last longer, a lot longer, because it's going to have enough of a base that is what is standard practice of engineering.
How old is this part?
So,
It's pretty old. I mean, we've patched multiple times and taken sections out where the cosmetic of the sub there is not deep enough, we do have cracks that develop because of the heat and the fog, so we've done our part to remove those, smooth them out again, and make the patches. I don't know that there's a way to fix it without taking it out. We did discuss last year, because one of the biggest providers of the water is the fact that it can't drain off the highway because those culverts are all crushed. To do that part of it, because we had permits to do that, but then you have to put them in and take part of it back out in order to fix the rest of the parking lot. And feel like throwing some money at it and having to rip that new money out and do it, so we kind of held off on it. I don't know if
It's at
there
the
is
end
a
of
way
its
for-
useful
It's
life,
it's
so to
useful
speak.
life,
Yeah.
yeah, it's useful life, and then to his point, to Dr. Beach's point, it's you know, the most efficient way to do it without, you know, spending extra dollars is to do everything.
Yeah, we were trying to do it all at once instead of doing multiple phases or stages. But I will say at the entrance here, or during the day, like when it is, water does freeze, it does get ice there. And it's a safety issue for just faculty, staff,
Yeah,
and
people coming
kids,
in.
yeah.
Especially with elementary.
The elementary
Yeah,
ones,
yeah,
yeah.
So is this budgeted for, or are we taking this from our fund balance?
So we got some fund balance, we did not put it in the budget since it wasn't approved when we did the budget. We had put it in there.
Okay, so it's coming from like our savings. And then were there any, you've done a lot of great facility work over the past few years. Are there any projects left to do?
Yes,
There are. Do we have a list of those?
yes.
Okay.
Maybe between them.
We don't have to
You
do
don't
any?
have to do them, there
They're
are some
outside
things
of
we
the
would like to do.
Okay,
For example, we need a new band room, okay? Our band has expanded so much, the space that we have is not sufficient. That requires an additional space in some capacity. We've talked about repurposing the junior high gym because of the tall ceilings. That might be able to make that into a band musical space, dividers in the middle with practice rooms, but then you have to build a gym. That's not a cheap proposition. You're at the point where in Illinois, if you renovate 51% of your building, then it kicks in with the requirements. And the gym is one of those big triggers because it's a large space. We're pretty close, I think, to the 40% now renovations and additions over the years. It's in that ballpark. But if you do the next one, then you have to bring storm shelters, which quadruples your cost. So I really don't want to build a $25 million gym. Nobody does, because that's would seem like an outrageous number. But that's the first thing I can think of is when you need a band space, but it has other triggers as well.
Yeah, and the reason I ask, this is great work, and I understand the need for the parking lot, but the reason I ask is I also think we've tapped into a lot of our fund balance. And so we're getting to a point where we're capped out. So and I'm sure the board's talked about this, but there's 3 new board members now, so this is where we're investing that last little bit of savings. Like when you do your house, this is like we're finishing the windows and we're probably done for a while. So how has that been compared to the other needs of the building? One being a band room for sure, which is impacting programming. And so what we don't have to talk about that today. We've invested some money here. We're gonna do some things, but how is it determined, not a question for tonight, but a question that this is what rose to the top other than those other things?
It had to do with the useful life of that lot. We have classrooms that we want to renovate still, but they are still currently functioning and they're not at the end of their life. So you walk down that long hallway, we didn't get to the last few classrooms, we stopped. That would be the next, internal space that we could renovate. And you certainly could pivot from the parking lot area and put the money into that space.
Which I'm definitely not suggesting.
No, I'm just saying
but
it's about the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But we were also looking at the liability of having more trip hazards in the parking lot kind of outweighed the fact that we had classrooms that aren't as pretty as other classrooms.
I would say the parking lot is also an accessibility issue as well for folks that
It
use
could
it
be,
after.
yes, for sure.
I kind of look back at older plans. I believe the last time that parking lot was touched was for the 1999 edition, and it looked like it still had the same configuration back then. So we're talking over 25 years ago. Between 20 and 25 years is the lifespan of a parking lot before you have to start stripping away all the asphalt and getting down to that stone base. So one of the reasons why we're deepening the stone too is for maybe the next 20, 25 years, if standards change or if you want a beefier asphalt section, you still have a good stone section depth that you can shave off and not affect the full reconstruct that we're doing right now, but you still keep that stone section, then you just come in with that beefier asphalt.
Any further questions? Thank you so much.
Yes, guys,
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you,
your time.
pleasure meeting you.
I have one other item. I didn't make a report. It just came out really publicly in the news this past week. With the current federal government shutdown, families that receive food money, SNAP, whatever you want to call it, that is set to expire this week. We do have multiple families and a lot of students in our school. We probably rely on that as a source of revenue. We don't offer a breakfast program in school currently. I have a concern that we might, starting next week, have kids that are going to come to school and not have food. It's really hard. I can't create a breakfast program overnight. I probably can't get funding for it from the federal government. All these things are working on. We have $30,000+ in unpaid lunch bills now. We've been carrying a little bit from last year. We constantly ask those are the parents that can pay for the lunches and they haven't been paying for it. I'm concerned about those that may be struggling next week with that shutdown and what we might need to do for them. If students don't have food, clothing, shelter, meeting Maslow's hierarchy, how are they going to be able to sit in our classrooms and learn and be productive if they're that's the we've been kicking around internally today what we could possibly do, how could we make that happen. wanted to run it past the board because obviously it's gonna be an expense that we haven't planned for, if we do anything at all. It's just, it bothers me. I do have a soft heart sometimes when it comes to that, and it bothers me, and I want some direction from the board on what you would like to see us do, if anything. I don't know when that shutdown's gonna end. We don't have we have some thoughts down, but nothing fleshed out yet. But I'm positive we can make something happen. Joining as you is and planning and crafting things, you are. So I just kind of want to hear the board's feedback on that, your thoughts on it.
Well, first, thank you for bringing this up tonight. As somebody who works in social services, this is obviously something very near and dear to me as well. I'm having the same conversations at work. I'm curious what has been discussed as potential options. You said there were a couple things down, but nothing really fleshed out.
We've talked about, rather go back to the cafeteria as kids come in off the buses out of cars, so walk to class, take some for class, banana, yogurt, bar, milk, open to anyone that wants it, not just the X number of students that we know, but open it to anybody. It has every plan we come up with, like we say, oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. Having food in the classroom is a problem. Having it be a distraction, having kids eat late to the first period of class is a problem. Things like that, having sending things home on a Friday with kids in a backpack, supplies for the weekend, some snacks, things like that. We kind of get all those ideas and kind of trying to work through some logistics of how that might work and how it might look. At the same time, protecting the privacy of students, because if you're on paid lunch, free lunch, or something like that, that's all kind of information, you don't release that. And trying to figure out a way to make that work without.
Two thoughts come to mind. One, in terms of resources for whatever is identified, has the Northern Illinois Food Bank been tapped as a potential resource?
No,
Okay.
we haven't reached out. This is just a conversation that's been up in the last 24 hours.
And the other thought that I have is very easy, I would think, for the district to do would be a school-wide food bank, food drive, specifically for families. And I love that you're considering singling out students who receive that. And I know there's probably manpower involved in contacting families of those students, but if that's a potential way that could be bridged, I think also maybe even gathering manpower like family volunteers to come in and help put bags together for like weekend, things like that. Just a couple of things that come to the top of my mind. I'm curious what everybody else is thinking.
So during my graduate program, I was actually doing student nursing for the high schools in the country, and they had a very simple program where the students very anonymously would take home on a Friday a bag of food for the whole weekend, enough for themselves and their families. It was, high schoolers are a little bit more autonomous, so they could take the supplies themselves. Would it be feasible to, see who wants to be included and send supplies with regards to like allergies and, things that we need to be mindful of?
We have a list of those kind of things we've talked about now, because we know the students that have allergies, where they're located. We don't know about the families, of course, just the ones that are in our schools. But yeah, those are all things we can get around. I appreciate hearing your feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate your care. I mean, that's fantastic that you obviously care so deeply about our kid. I don't think we should be carrying a $30,000 balance. So that's something we actually can't fix and would allow us to get money to put into other places that we need. So I do think sidetrack, that's something we actually have to look into and rectify. Because for parents who can't afford lunch, we should not be carrying a $30,000 balance where people have eaten the food and are not paying their bill. That's taxpayer dollars that people are utilizing in the wrong way. So that is actually something in our control that would give us more funds. Are we part of the National School Lunch Program? So with that, we should be able to get free breakfast for students who are free and reduced. They're hand in hand. You get lunch and breakfast.
Yes, you could do that. We just haven't ever put in for that because we don't have a breakfast program. We haven't ever outfit, so I don't know.
Do you have to maybe.
I don't know.
And when you use that, do you have to offer breakfast to everyone, or can you just offer to your free and reduced?
You have to offer to everybody.
Okay, are you sure?
Yes, not because I haven't done a breakfast program,
Okay.
but just like lunch, we offer lunch to everyone, and you have to follow their guidelines.
Okay. So let's look into that. I mean, we definitely need to feed our kids who are hungry.
Sure.
And I think Josie's ideas are fantastic. I think there's lots of ways we can do it. I'm not even opposed to filling the gap with district funds. I mean, kids need to be fed to be taken care of. With that being said, I also think on the other note, we need to do something to make sure that we are getting the money that people are utilizing the service for that are not qualifying for free and reduced. So just thank you. And
We have made multiple efforts short of taking the collections.
Yes, but I also think we still are providing the lunch versus like an alternative lunch that's not as desirable. We absolutely can.
The board, previous board, when this has been brought up, has not allowed us to do that. Like the cheese sandwich.
Right.
We've been told not to do that.
And that's a conversation we can have again. But it's $30,000. So yes.
I'm aware of
I trust you to do what's best for kids in this situation. Like, I don't know that you need our direction or approval, but I trust you to do what's right for kids.
One last thing I probably will add is I would love to see resources for food pantries in the weekly email. One fun fact is that anybody, regardless of where they live in the county, can access the Crystal Lake Food Pantry one time. They will allow them, and they'll serve a family and then refer it out to their food pantry.
And there are numerous food pantries around Crystal Lake.
Correct.
I mean, private, churches and things like that offer. I mean, you have to show them nothing to qualify. You literally pull up and they will put a box of food in. So I was gonna say that resources. So before school care, we have that here, correct?
To the YMCA, that's correct, yes.
Do we know, and do they offer breakfast here for those kids? Through the Y? No, they do not.
They do a snack, but I'm not sure.
A snack, okay. And then just as part of the thing, I know high schools are looking, like, the high schoolers have FPR, their community service hours. They need to get in. I'm sure if it came down to packing food here, we could probably also get high school volunteers. I think, everything about just doing a food drive for our school is great, and, I agree. We can't have kids. So I think, we can get creative, whatever that looks like. I mean,
With regard to food drives, we do food drives at Christmas time.
Well, there's also like that right now.
And we do them multiple times a year. So it's not a new concept. We've done those. We want to do those. I just also don't want to overburden, keep asking people
Right.
all the time, for their canned goods, things like that. That is all as well.
Do we have the capacity to provide a hot breakfast and like a dinner in our facilities?
Do we have the capacity? Yes, we have a fully functional kitchen. If that would be a conversation I'm gonna have, and I'm having tomorrow morning with the folks from Mechanical Hire for our food service vendor about what availability they would have for additional staff to help us with that. Ordering products that we could use. They offer a breakfast program daily in Prairie right now, but it's not a home program. It's actually just a quick grab and go. You grilled bars, your banana, apple.
And is it free to everyone, or do some children?
I'm sure it's some paid, some don't pay.
I was gonna ask how that would affect scheduling. Like, obviously, if you're gonna offer breakfast, you can't change our classroom schedule, our class times or whatever, so.
Concerned about,
It's-
like,
Yeah, the
You
grab
have to allow students in the building earlier,
Yeah,
you know, and then I got a staff to supervise it, so there's just some logistical things that have to play in the role of that as well. We use the junior high that comes in the building in the morning, they come through the cafeteria as a hallway. You know, you have to have tables set up in there to kind of separate things. Just the logistics of that may look a little awkward, but it can certainly be done.
I mean, my kids don't come to school hungry and would come in and grab 500 things to eat. Because they are,
Every
Always
junior high
eating,
child's only
so
wanting to
that's
go
a
and grab a hot.
Oh, yeah, they give me grabbing like
Yeah.
bulk or a
Right.
handful of
Yeah.
them.
right, so there will need to be some,
It has to be supervised.
yeah,
For sure.
something, like, oh, granola bars, I'll take 20, so.
Thank you for the response, I appreciate that.
You know, again, back to the high school times, they actually kept a lot of food supplies in the nurse's office too. I don't know if that's something that we do, but it would be very easy to implement. The kids, if they're hungry, they could go to the nurse's office and grab a granola bar in between classes, so it wouldn't affect staffing is another option.
Oftentimes when we've done programs like that, we've had social workers' offices in both buildings.
Yeah, I don't think it matters location,
Yeah.
the kids know that it's an option.
And I think if there's food, you know, the concern about, you know, anonymity and all of that, and also, I mean, we can't have a kindergartner hauling food home for his entire family for the weekend. I mean, I think we offer families can come pick it up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Great ideas.
Yeah.
Anything else about that? Okay, great. So for item number 8, I would like to make a motion to table that. It's the motion to approve employment of our district superintendent beginning July 1st, 2026. So the motion is to table that.
Second.
Great.
Discussion of.
Yeah, it's ready to discuss, in this discussion. To be in the motion, so she has to do a roll call.
Okay, so the decision,
So is there any discussion?
great. No,
no
okay.
discussion.
Roll call vote.
Rebecca Jenkins,
Yes.
Jennifer Bergola,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes finance committee meetings, executive session minutes, and minutes from September 15th, 29th, and October 20th, 2025. Regular meeting, executive session minutes, and minutes from September 16th, 2025. Special meetings, executive session minutes, and minutes from October 6th, 10th, 11th, 15th, and 19th, 2025. Bills payable, treasurer's report, quarterly financial and investment reports, personnel action reports, and FY 2025 audit.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Jennifer Bergola,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yeah.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Rebecca Jenkins,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve McHenry County Mutual Aid Agreement, McAid?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. This is the Regional Office of Education Crisis Management Protocol, correct?
Yes, so I'll elaborate a little bit on that. So over the last couple of years, we collectively across the county have been talking about our emergency management plans. What we would do, what the bigger schools would do, what the smaller schools would do in case there was a catastrophic event, whether it be, a shooter on the property or a major fire during the school days, on those lines. And each of us was kind of doing our own thing. We were utilizing a church offsite at one time. Our plan included going over to Beardsley in the middle of their student day. And so we all kicked around how we work on that together and how we would do it better together. And so this past 2 months, the ROE has kind of brought everybody together and talked about how can we all do this legally as a group in the county. And so under this agreement that was written by the ROE, our attorney has read through it, that it's fine. the ROE would be in charge of sort of a collaboration of the school. So our plan right now, if there was an issue, we had to evacuate, we all go out to college. We have one of their gym spaces. We have a place for dropping off the students. We have a separate entrance for parents to come in to reunify them with children. I believe all of the schools in the county are going to utilize that location because it's an offsite that affect none of our schools. And this allows each of those districts then to help out. So if you have a tragedy in the school, oftentimes you'll send a social worker or to help out, and that's really great. Kind of like when you have a massive fire and fire departments from other jurisdictions go over and help out. They have mutual aid agreements. This is what this is. It allows us to share resources and to send our personnel under the umbrella of an alliance to help out in other areas that they might for the support of their students and their families. So that's the intent of it.
Thank you.
It's a very small dollar amount that we have to invest every year in the coordination of it.
Do you know what that dollar amount is?
It's the agreement to
There's $250 towards the admin agreement.
Yep. And then there's a
Not to
annual,
exceed 400.
$400, $250 for the administration of it, $400 a year.
Any questions on this?
For another time.
Okay. All right, seeing none, roll call.
Nicole Segura.
Yes.
Kristen Thacker.
Yes.
Stephanie Housh.
Yes.
Rebecca Jenkins.
Yes.
Jennifer Regola.
Yes.
Sylvie Shattuck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to appoint a board member as a delegate to the 2025 ISB Delegate Assembly?
So moved. Second.
So typically, last several years, I have served as our board's delegate for the ISB conference. It is a fascinating process that I highly recommend anybody attending the conference this year participate in. I cannot attend the conference, but I would gladly offer. I'm happy to answer any questions now or after on the process. But has anybody considered serving as delegate?
I think I'm considering.
Wonderful.
You got it.
You got me to back up though.
Fantastic, thank you. Kristen Thacker. Yes, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Kristen Thacker.
Yeah.
Stephanie Housh.
Thank you, my
Good one.
Rebecca Jenkins.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Jennifer Regola.
Yes.
Nicole Segura.
Yes.
Sylvie Shattuck.
I say this very with bittersweet heart, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, may I have a motion to return to closed session?
Line four. So
Delegate Assembly.
the actual
There we go, thank
item
you.
for the,
May I have a
yes.
motion to, it's duplicate on mine.
Yeah.
Oh.
May I have a motion to approve ISB resolutions at the 2025 ISB Delegate Assembly?
So moved. Second.
Okay, so the Delegate Assembly, obviously there's resolutions that are discussed, those were sent out previously in our Friday updates. Are there any questions on those?
Probably 1,000, but I will figure those out as I prepare. for this
I say
conference.
I recommend that we send Kristen with the adopt what IASB is recommending to adopt. So you can go with a packet and it says they're recommending we adopt the one resolution and they're recommending we adopt the 10 amendments. So as a board, we have to decide what we want you to vote on our behalf. So I am putting on the table that we do what IASB is recommending.
That's usually done.
Exactly, yeah, I agree, they provide lots of documentation and paperwork for you, you can find it online in advance as well. But historically, that is exactly what we do.
We just done what they were.
For about 4 hours.
Maybe 2 and a half. Last year was only an hour, I think.
A lot of
You'll learn a lot.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none. Okay, may I have a motion to return to closed session at 8:14 PM for matters presented under Illinois executive specified in the agenda.
But they
We have some guests tonight, and I suspect that you would
Everyone
like
else
to.
left.
We're so glad you stayed.
yeah.
I've been told that you might be with the PTO and would like to say some things.
We are with the PTO.
I'm hearing from you.
I'm
I don't have you on my sign-in sheet, but that's okay. We have a podium here for you, and we would love to hear from you.
Or you just wanna
Or you
talk
can just
some other
introduce
time.
yourself.
And thank you for staying for the whole meeting.
It's incredibly informative. I can
Yes.
become regulars here.
We'd love to have you.
Do we need to stand up?
No.
You can just introduce yourself.
Whatever you're
Yeah.
comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm Lauren, I'm the vice president of the PTO.
I'm Shannon. I'm the president of the PTO.
We're happy to be here.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
We're just happy to be here.
Thank you for your Nice to meet service.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Harvest Fest was last week.
It sure was.
How was that?
Great,
It
Perspective.
was so fun.
it was.
It was really, really, really high turnout in terms of families. We had 2 more trunks in the last year. We had 1 food truck, and the kids had a blast. I mean, I don't think I heard anything but positive feedback, which was good.
Agreed.
And then final question, what is the next thing on the agenda, the calendar?
We have holiday shop in December, and prior to that, there's something.
Readathon.
We have our big fundraiser that got moved into January though.
What is that?
It is, we either do Pantherpalooza, which is like an outdoor fun run in September, or we do Readathon, which is more reading based for fundraising.
Okay.
So the students have a 2-week period to log as many minutes of reading. People can either flat donate or donate per minute. And then those funds will be used for whatever the dean or the principals ask us to fundraise for.
I have heard that our mascot Rory loves attending.
We've heard that too.
We love Prairie. We'll get a new mascot for you.
Who puts on the gift card fundraiser? Is that a school thing? Is that a PTO thing where we buy the gift cards online? Are we doing that? Are you doing that?
We have our next meeting Monday.
Okay.
So that's the meeting where we would discuss anything that occurs for staff appreciation in December. We'll touch on Readathon and the holiday shop that we're doing, which is new for us.
Okay. Are you familiar with the gift card thing that happened before? Okay. Are you guys considering that? Do you know? Okay. Because that's always, I love that one. I think it's, I mean, I like all of my shopping is done in one fell swoop. I love that. Like I use gift cards for years.
Is this why you wanted them to come?
I fund that whole entire
They're all like,
Okay. How do you, I guess we had concerns, right, that we hadn't heard much. I don't know from a board level that we necessarily like have to approve anything. But just did you guys need clarification on who you need to communicate with? Because I know there was problems on Friday with where our setup was gonna be. And there was questions on who makes that decision and who you guys needed to talk to about that.
We had it settled. We had a very disgruntled parent,
Okay,
and that's who reached out to you. And
Okay.
that was when it got a bit chaotic. Prior to that, Joan and Dennis assisted
okay,
and great, like making sure that we were prepared.
perfect,
And we
okay,
altered it minimally.
okay.
Just too close to 176 was like the concern, like the cars being too close there with the kids like truck or treating.
Right, okay,
So we just like adjusted it by moving it just a little smidge closer.
perfect.
And I feel like it resolved everything.
It was nice to have it in a straight line as opposed to the box. Nobody
Yeah.
got run over.
Awesome, all right.
Sounds like a success.
Yeah.
Thank you for
First.
coming tonight and for sticking around.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. May I have a motion to return to closed session at 8:19 PM? Or,
second.
thank you. Roll call.
Stephanie House.
Yes.
Rebecca Jenkins.
Yes.
Jennifer Regola.
Yes.
Nicole Segura.
Yes.
Kristen Thacker.
Yes.
Rosie Shattuck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You guys have stuff.
Can I
Right,
just
so touchy.
comment that the libraries love the shirt, like,
Yes.
and it's just so uplifting, the colors, are keeping me engaged.
No, it is. I do like it.
You could have said
But I do
that.
actually really like it.
It is such a
No, I
nice
really
look.
do, yes.
Thank you for the
Okay.
setup.
Yes. Very good. 5 to 7.
Well,
All right.
Josh is.
Oh, nice, okay, so we're eating more stuff now?
Two cookies.
Oh, fantastic.
That's all you got to do.
Okay, I will, I'll ask John, but I will kind of.
Oh, right. This is like a warm childhood memory, a core memory right here.
So glad to be here.
These oatmeal raisins. Have you ever had the hot belly ones with that chocolate chip in them?
And maybe I realized.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
Okay,
okay.
you only know me because I don't.
Okay.
We should not have it with our math. Mistaken identity.
And I'm like, no makeup and like.
But it's okay.
You're probably my son, I'm finishing. I am. Well, I'm just like, come on here, I'm gonna do my long run and I wanna feel good about myself at the end of it and go.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so we're not here. Like 6 to 8.
Good for you.
So, yeah. Well,
When it
now I'll
comes
have
to
to
dad,
look
full
up
support, I know how important
Yeah,
it is.
next time I turn away, I don't know.
Sure, yeah, sure.
And I do think that program is so worthwhile. I do love the fact that it gives them their first chance. We have a group of, they are amazing.
But I think for preschool, 80% special education, and I don't know if that's correct.
You have to be able to prove that more of your kids are at risk than not at risk, which is what we don't have.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That's a you decision.
Yeah, I know. And when do we decide that again?
Whatever you want to.
No, it's not special ed. Right. At risk. So SNAP, full language, they have a list